Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games of All Time. Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games of All Time.
And we're back! Huzzah!
Here we are.
We're back to talk about the People's Choice. If this is your first video you're watching, we had 1,190 people vote on their top 100 games. They ranked them all, and as I was mentioning in a post I posted earlier, that I think there was 900 games or so that got one vote only.
Wow.
Which is really interesting. So that's great because it shows the diversity, while the game that got number one got, I think, 450 votes.
Wow.
So
if your game is not on the list, there's one person who
that's
loves it.
right. Well, maybe they're the one, if they're the designer. What? That's my game. All right. Well, let's get moving.
Number 80 for sale.
All right, number 80 is For Sale, which was also on the list last year and very close to the same position. And I mean, this is such an obvious one to me. This is one of those games that if I have 6 people over and 5 of them have never played a game before, I know I can bring this out and play it.
Right.
I teach them half the game. I say, okay, we're just going to bid and win these things. And then now we're going to use those and play the other half of the game. And every single time, I have yet to have anybody who's not played games before dislike this game.
Right.
It's just such a great game.
I think it's interesting how bigger games will cycle in and out of people's consciousness. You know, like a big game this year might be in your top 10. Next year, it might be out. But this little filler game has been out for, way over a decade, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it came out originally.
What is it, 93-ish? Something like that. Many, many years ago. And it's still in the top 100 list. I guess there's no other filler yet that's quite dethroned it, you know what I mean?
Well, there might be a few. We might get to some of those later. I don't know that there might be other fillers as I'm looking through the list here. Maybe this is the highest filler on the list, at least one that's this quick. This is the kind of game I wish I had designed. It's so simple and so easy. And the Griffin Game publication, which is essentially an exact replica of the Uberplay edition of it. It's great. It's fantastic. The artwork's good. It was so good, the Uberplay edition, that all they did was make it the box. You know, they changed the box size. But I like it, and it's easily, of the whole Griffin line, it's the most popular.
Oh, by far. It's a great game.
A good game.
Number 79, Castle Panic.
This game is new for this year, but it's not a new game, and that's a little unusual. When I was talking to some distributors about games that sold well for them, Castle Panic was really high on many of their lists. Not this year, but in a few years back. One guy told me at Christmas time this was their highest seller.
Wow.
Which is amazing to me, because what it is it's a cooperative game in which people are defending a castle. And if I made a list of my favorite cooperative games, I don't think this would be on it.
It would not be on mine either, but I could understand why it might be.
I don't dislike it, don't get me wrong. And maybe it's gone up because they came out with the expansion this year.
Right.
And I think the expansion really boosted it up to the point where I think it might make my top 100 with that expansion added.
Absolutely.
I was talking to someone the other day and I said, this game's so easy. Play with the expansion and tell me that.
But I think the fact that it is that easy is why it might be on the list. It's an easy game to pull out with the folks. It's an easy game to pull out with the kids. Get to the table, play it. Everybody's working together, and you can have a great time with this game.
Yeah, I'm really glad this made the list, actually, because I don't want I think the People's Choice list shouldn't be, or and Labora and that sort of stuff. It's good to see games like this on the list too. So this if you're looking for a game to give the people as a gift, Castle Panic is not a bad idea. It looks a little evil, but it's really a simple game, and kids will really get a kick out of it.
I agree.
Number 78, Munchkin.
Okay, we don't actually have this game. I don't have it, and Z doesn't have it.
I don't have it.
Don't you? If he does have it, he's not telling anybody. Okay, but here's the deal. We like to rag on Munchkin, and we will probably continue to rag on Munchkin. but it really sells well.
Oh, it sells like hotcakes.
And, you know, I know John Kovalik works really hard on the artwork, and they work hard. I don't think they work really hard on the game mechanics, because it seems like it's more of the same.
They haven't changed very much, right?
Well, I think there's maybe 15 to 20 different versions now. There's like Munchkin 1 through 6. There's a vampire version.
Munchkin Bites, right?
There's
Star
a space
Munchkin.
version. There was a cowboy version, I think. They just came out with Axe Cop version. There was a Conan version. There's really a lot of versions of it, and they all work together. So I guess I'm surprised that our listeners, our watchers, like Munchkin that much. But hey, last year it was 109, and this year it popped up to 78. Maybe they did it to spite us.
Well, I'm trying to
Or maybe
figure
people
out.
just like it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm surprised it did jump up, though. I can understand it holding its place because, yes, it does get a lot of love. But I'm surprised it actually stepped up quite that much. Which expansions came out this year that made this game jump up so much?
Axe Cop, man. Axe Cop. If you've never seen Axe Cop, check it out on the internet. Axe Cop is a comic where a 5-year-old writes the comic and then its brother illustrates it.
Wow.
And it's hilarious because it's a 5-year-old's imagination. And anyway, who knows? I don't know what it is, but Munchkin has a pretty big resurgence.
Number 77, Glory to Rome.
If you notice, this doesn't come in a black box. I don't have the black box version. I actually,
Doesn't even come in a box.
yeah, I know. Okay, that's irritating. I mean, I know Cambridge Games was like all bragging about these things, but they're such a pain in the neck. But I always like the cartoony artwork of Glory to Rome. It's pretty, it's nice, and the game itself is a good game. I think with all the different versions out, not just the black box version, there's the better looking version in every country of the world
That's true.
than this boring black box version. But the game is good. It's one of those card games like Race for the Galaxy. There's very few of these games actually in existence that really do this well.
I think when Race for the Galaxy came out, suddenly everybody thought that genre was going to explode. Like,
Yeah, but this came out before Race for the Galaxy.
around that time. Yeah, but San Juan really kind of did it first, and then we
Right.
thought that genre was going to just take off, and it really kind of didn't.
No, I can't name more than 5 games, I think, in that genre where you have a deck of cards and you use the cards for various different things.
I think deck building came in hot on the heels of that and took over, you know?
It did. So if you want to design something interesting and copy other designs, this might be a good one. But all I want to say about this one is I was telling people this was a good game before it exploded. So I don't even know what that means. All right. I was there first.
It's a good one, and I can see why it's on the list. It's a great card game. It's heady, though. It's not a light game, so you got to know what you're getting into, but this is a good game.
Number 76, Hive.
All right. I don't actually own Hive, so we're using Z's versions. He has Hive, and then he has Hive Carbonite, which is where they take out all the cool colors and add extra pieces and sell you the same game again to rip you off.
Well, there's also a couple of extra pieces in here that they later sold individually for that other one, and
Yeah, but who wants that? Annoys me that you're selling a piece of a game
they're
individually.
expensive, too.
But this game has a huge amount of fans. I'm not surprised to see it on my list. I would say of all the dedicated new abstract games, abstract games, it's hard for an abstract game to make a big splash.
Right.
We have chess and checkers, and really
The GIF project.
the GIF project made a
That's
big
it.
splash. But the Hive is the biggest one, I think, of all the recent ones. It has a dedicated fan base, very enthusiastic people. I'm not surprised to see it on my list for the second time in a row.
Right, absolutely.
And Z likes it. And
It's a great game. I think it's a really good abstract, and like you said, they just don't have that breakthrough. Abstracts don't. But if I choke Tom with the pieces, I think
I could fit one of those in my mouth.
no, these are really good. If you're looking for a good abstract, again, only for 2 players, and you don't want the classics, chess, checkers, but you want something leaning towards chess, closer to chess than checkers, this is a very good game, and it's very easy to teach too. You could play this even with a slightly older kid,
Right.
And I think it has a lot of merit. It's a very good game.
Hive.
Number 75, Airline Line Syrup.
This this is the first time this is on the list because, well, it came out last year. Airlines Europe is basically a reworking of Union Pacific from Rio Grande Games. But it's a very major reworking. They took out a lot of stuff, really streamlined the game out. And I think a lot of people like this.
Well, I played the original, the Union Pacific, but I haven't actually played this.
Do you like Union Pacific?
I do like it. I think it's a very good game.
Well, imagine Union Pacific without the stupid train, the railroad, different railroad cards, that restriction, that's gone. And they changed some of the numbers, but to me, and it's very similar. I loved Union Pacific, but this game, I tell people it's an economic game, and people start, backing off, and a few people flee the room. But this one works really well, and it's even almost close to a family game because it's not that hard.
Right.
I wonder. I mean, this might be his best design. Well, Ticket to Ride is obviously people's favorite of Alan Moon's, but this might be his best game when it comes to just sheer design. I don't know.
Well, it's been through a few iterations, and I do think that Alan Moon does take a while to sort of ramp up to get to that point, but he does get out some really great games, and I'm looking forward to playing this myself, and I know I liked Union Pacific even with those problems, so I can absolutely see why this would be on the list. And Union Pacific had been out of print for a long time.
Right. Yeah, there was some, if I remember correctly, there's some legalese about the actual Union Pacific company and such. So I don't care that they rethemed it. The airplane theme works just as well.
So if you want a light Euro that you could play with friends, could play with family, this is a very good one, I would say.
Right.
Number 74, Eminent Domain.
Eminent Domain. This is another game that's new to the list, and this is a game that surprises me that it's on the list. Not because I think it's a bad game. I just figured it would be overshadowed with Race for the Galaxy and Core Worlds and Alien Frontiers. There's a lot of space games out there, and Eminent Domain is a deck building game that I think deviates from the normal pattern of deck building.
Right.
And while it has some amazing fans, I didn't think it'd be enough to make it on the list, but it did.
Well, it also hasn't had any expansions come out for it. There were a few promo cards, but no follow-through, which sort of keeps these games in the public's eye, So I think I agree with you there. I am surprised by it. And it's also a fairly light game, deck building, which is obviously going to clobber it, and then kind of shove it into a corner. But it has a lot of staying power. I think that might be the fact that the game had a long time getting to print, and it gathered a lot of people playing it and playtesting, and it gathered fans that way.
Well, I like the game. I mean, I have it on my shelf. I think one of the things about the game that might help it out some is when I like the game, it's 2 to 4 players, but I like it best with 2. And most games that say 2 to something players lie about the 2 part.
2 to 7, sure.
But this game works really well with 2, so it probably can get a lot more play in.
Right.
Because I can say, I can play this. There's just 2 of us. Let's play Eminent Domain. In fact, you and I have played this before, 2-player.
Right.
So there's that, and it's space, so that's cool. Maybe that brings it up some.
That could be. I'm not surprised.
I'm not trying to down the game at all. It's a good game, and you should certainly check it out because it offers something different that I don't think any other game has offered. The closest this is to, I think, is the one we just talked about earlier, and that's Glory to Rome.
Glory to Rome is so much more complicated than this game, but if you like...
No, but they have a similar feel.
Maybe. Yeah.
Where I take an action and then everybody else gets that same action type thing.
But if you like the idea of deck building and are afraid of the complexity, I could see this being something you would want to check out.
All right.
Number 73, Room Wars.
I don't have a copy of this game, which is good because it's huge. It came in a Twilight Imperium box. The Rune Wars. In our group, it's played a lot, and yet I never have managed to get into a game of it. I don't know why, but they're coming out with a second edition this year.
Really?
Which is going to kind of make the components a little less, stellar. It had like 3-dimensional mountains. They're going to drop that down a little bit, but they're going to fit it in the Ticket to Ride size box, or probably bigger, the Descent 2
Sure. Slightly
box.
Thicker, slightly.
And that's fantastic. I think those big boxes were really neat when they first came out, but they're horrible on storage. And the reprint means the game is popular enough. Also, the fact that it's, number 73 on our list. That means people are still enjoying this game. They had other games come out. Fantasy Flight has had a lot of these big box games come out. Tide of Iron, StarCraft, the one about the Warhammer 40K universe. I forget the name of that one. And those games are not on this list. And Rune Wars is. So that means I need to get around to playing this game.
I guess so. I mean, I'm not sure it's coasting on the theme, like Horus Heresy, which is the one you're thinking of.
Horus Heresy, that's right.
Is I could see that coasting on the theme a little more.
Right. Well, this one, it's based in the Terranoth universe, which is Descent, and Rune Bound,
Right.
and then they had the Rune card game. A lot of these games are Rune Age. They're based in that same universe, so they have a pre-built universe, but even that wouldn't be enough to carry a game.
Right, absolutely. And I am surprised to see this one this high up on the list. I figured, yes, it's one of those big coffin-sized boxes, they call them, the really massive ones. I could understand it having a very dedicated but small following, which would probably not put it on the list.
Right, or at least not that high.
Right, and so I'm surprised to see it up there, but hey, it must be a really great game, and neither one of us has played it, so
Shame on us.
I guess we gotta get around to that.
Shame.
Number 72, Ascension.
This is the first year this game is on the list, Ascension, but it made 112 last year and now jumped up to 72. So why the jump? I have my theory on that. There's a couple reasons. One is because they came out with several expansions which were playable by themselves.
Yeah.
It has a very strong following. Even in our group, we don't play a lot of Ascension, if at all. But when we go to the game store, sometimes I'll see like 8 people playing Ascension.
Right.
There's like an Ascension tournament, Ascension league in our area that people love playing Ascension. And I think that's one of the reasons. I think the other reason is simple, iOS. The iOS version of Ascension is one of the best. I don't play Ascension that much, but I play the iOS all the time. It's fun, it's easy, it's one of the best implementations of a card game to the iPad.
Well, I think it's got some of that CCG fervor that follows it around, and I think that's partly why it's so popular. It's because the people who enjoy CCGs can get into this game fairly easily and not, go through hundreds of dollars. And the expansions have kept it in the limelight, as opposed to, which is interesting, Eminent Domain, we were just talking about that.
Right.
Has no expansions. They're about the same time frame when they came out, but that one's still on the list. But I do think this is on the list because they are pumping out extra cards for it, and people love to play with the new powers, the new cards.
Right. So there you go. Will be interesting to see how this goes as the years go by, to see if it keeps going up, if it stays steady, if it goes down. But meanwhile, good job, 72 Ascension.
Number 71, Steam.
Last game for today is Steam from Martin Wallace. And I am not surprised to see this one on the list, although it had a big drop. It was 43 last year. And I think if it dropped at all, it's because it doesn't seem to be getting a lot of push these days. I'm not seeing expansion after expansion come out. Like when Age of Steam came out, every other day they'd be like, hey, there's a new map. Age of Steam, Pennsylvania. Age of Steam, California. Age of Steam, Podunk Town. And, there's an Age of Steam map for every place on Earth. You could build an atlas from Age of Steam maps. And a lot of the new maps that come out are also compatible for Steam.
Right.
So there's that, but there's still not that same. The Age of Steam fans are fanatics. The Steam fans are like normal people.
Well,
I'm gonna get email for that one.
Well, I think the thing with Steam is that it was Age of Steam. I believe that was the first one, and then it went through a few other iterations of sort of the same thing. I think that's why it's still in people's minds. It's not necessarily the expansions, but the fact that a whole new game, slightly tweaked, comes out, and people go, oh, I liked Age of Steam, let me jump on this new one.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to realize that being number 71 isn't bad. It's 71 out of 10,000 games.
Oh, no, that's not bad at all. I haven't played this version of it. I've played Age of Steam, and
Have you played Railroad Tycoon?
I haven't played that one either. Just Age of Steam from that
What kind of
whole
train
line.
gamer are you?
I don't like the really heavy train games. This game, at least the original, felt like it was just punishing you. The moment you opened the box, it was beating you down.
Well, that's true.
As soon as I opened the box, I felt worse, just for having opened it. But I could understand the audience for the game, and I think that feverish audience that will probably play this game a lot
Right.
could keep it up there, Maybe these kinds of Euros, and I think I wouldn't be mistaken in calling this a very heavy Euro, there haven't been that many coming out. Most of the Euros have been leaning a little bit towards that middle ground. And it's
That's
harder.
true. There's a lot of people talking about how the heavier stuff isn't coming out much these days. But I don't know. I think this has legs. I think we'll still be talking about Steam, despite it's really, I don't like this box cover at all. It looks like the colors are washed out. I think we'll still be talking about Steam in 10 years, and I think Age of Steam will be relegated to that game that a few people play in the corner, while Steam will still be going strong.
Sure.
And again, the market's also split because the Railroad Tycoon is out there, and that's also going still strong. They just announced another expansion, Railways of North America, also Railways of Canada. And if they keep doing that, I think these two games will be in competition,
Right.
and the folks who like Age of Steam will just happily play it.
Sure, absolutely.
So that's it for this time, folks. We have now done 30 games, but there are some really good games coming up. Some games that have dropped, some new games to the list, just a lot of cool changes. To me, it's fascinating. I really can't wait till we have like 10 years of data to look at and say, wow, that game went up and down.
Right.
But either way, there's some great games that you guys have picked. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell,
I'm Z Garcia.
and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games of All Time.